My name is Nonema Tikela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want us to talk about one thing that has been hovering around this Senzo Meyiwa case, okay? I want us to talk about that on this video quickly because, my goodness, I know that we as South Africans can act dumb sometimes, but it does not mean we are dumb. So let's do some connection here. Let's connect the dots, okay? Now, there are hidden links they don't want us to see in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial or in the Senzo Meyiwa murder at large, okay? Not just the trial. They don't want us to see these things. I'm going to try to put them into perspective. Then you can make up your own mind. But me, I'm just sitting here thinking about these things. I don't know about you. So there is something about this case, right, that never made sense. Too many names, too many contradictions, too many people orbiting the same moment, which is the Senzo Meyiwa murder day. And today we are connecting those dots, not rumors, not noise, the actual links, okay, between Kelly Khumalo, Longwe Twala, Chicco Twala, and Shadrack Sibiya. First, who is Kelly Khumalo? Kelly Khumalo is the former girlfriend of the late Senzo Meyiwa, whom also he shares a baby with a daughter, Chingo Khumalo, with Senzo Meyiwa. They are sharing that daughter. And Kelly Khumalo has been fingered as the trigger point of why Senzo Meyiwa is dead today or was murdered to begin with. Okay. Then we also have Longwe Twala. Longwe Twala is the son of business mogul Babu Chicco Twala, who was a boyfriend of Kelly Khumalo's younger sister, Zandile Khumalo. That's who Longwe Twala is. Third person, which is Chicco Twala. Chicco Twala is the father of Longwe Twala, who was present on the day that Senzo Meyiwa was shot and killed back in 2014. And Shadrack Sibiya, Shadrack Sibiya is a general, head of the Hawks. They go South African Police Services. And his name has been involved in so many shady things, including the Senzo Meyiwa case. There's been so many allegations, but we are going to unpack all of that, okay? So now that's what we are going to be dealing with when it comes to all of this. The thing is, there is that situation, the links, once you see them, you can't unsee them, okay? So that's why I decided, let me do this video. Now, let's talk about the two different stories that we have. There are two completely different versions of what happened the night Senzo Meyiwa was killed. And they don't just disagree, they collide, okay? Version one, the state, this was a planned hit from Gininda's mouth. That's what we heard. Gininda is the lead investigator. I guess we must also add his name here somewhere. Okay, maybe let's do a separate video for that. Let's focus on these four people for now. His version is that he's the state. There was a planned hit executed by the accused in court, triggered from outside the house, okay? Version two, the alternative theory. Something went wrong inside the house. The house is sitting with the people who were there. And the story was managed. That's where these four names come in. All right, now let's start. The center of the storm, right? Let's talk about Kelly Khumalo, because whether you like it or not, she sits at the center of everything. The reason Senzo Meyiwa was at that house to begin with is because he went there to see him. Sorry, he went there to see her. She's the girlfriend, she's the baby mama, so they were dating at the time. Yes, Senzo Meyiwa was a married man with Mandisa Mkhize. Is it Mkhize? I think so. He was married to Mandisa Mkhize, cheating on Mandisa Mkhize with Kelly Nonhlanhla Khumalo. Okay? That's what is happening. Now, in court, the lead investigator pointed to Kelly Khumalo as what he called the trigger point. Yebo, that's what he said. Not the shooter, not the one who pulled the gun, but the one who may have set things in motion. And then the phone records. The phone records. Multiple numbers, undisclosed lines, connections to some of the accused, even more explosive data entry around the time of the murder, phones wiped, contacts linked, timing that raises questions. And here's the key. She's not on trial, Kesan. Even though the lead investigator pointed at her as the trigger point of the motion of it all, as the mastermind, yes. But her name, it keeps popping back, okay? Now, here's another killer on this situation is that as much as but the lead investigator said Kelly Khumalo is the mastermind, taking the so-called phone data saying that Kelly Khumalo spoke to Fiso Ntuli 2 times in August and in October 2014. Well, the calls, when Vodacom came to explain them, Vodacom was like, that call that they say it happened between Kelly Khumalo and Fiso Kuhle, it happened between Kelly Khumalo and Arthur Mafokate. The second call that they say, the police say it happened between Kelly Khumalo and Fiso Kuhle Ntuli, it happened between Kelly Khumalo and Senzo Meyiwa. So there is no way. Yabona ke i-dilemma conundrum esikuyo, it is a lot. Okay, now let's go to second point. Ne? The men inside the house. Let's talk about that. Now we move to the most uncomfortable question. What really happened inside that house? Because one name refuses to disappear, Longwe Twala. Shame they tried inside that courtroom when they were called in to make sure Longwe Twala is out of the shebang. But his situation was like, Anpum. His name straight up said, Na Anpum, I'm not going anywhere. No matter what you try, I'm not going anywhere. Now, Longwe Twala was there in the room or in the house at the exact moment everything happened, or at the exact moment everything went wrong. And for years and years in South Africa, the suspicion was brutal against him. Was the shot fired from inside? That was the question. And there were allegations from the time of death, especially between 2017-18, there was strong allegations. Then they were back in 2024 again. There were strong allegations also there back in 2023-2024. There were strong allegations that Longwe Twala is the one that brought a firearm that belongs to his father, and he brought it, and it's the one that shot and killed Senzo. And that firearm is nothing but a .38 revolver special. Ulongwe, Ukeli, Utumelo, in fact, almost all of them, they speak about a firearm that had a wheel. All of them, in their statements, they have that thing I show you about a firearm that had a wheel. Do you understand? Now, there were theories. There was a struggle, a mistake, a gun going off unintentional. Okay, but then the state steps in and says, no, not him. You can't pinpoint. Don't point your fingers too long. Don't do it. They go further and say they actively try to dismantle that theory, using movement data, timeline reconstruction, scene interpretation, and just like that, the narrative shifts. Not inside, but outside. Not inside, but outside. Okay, let's move. Now before we move, we are still sitting here in South Africa saying, khona ukushaya amanzi ngendaba kaLongwe, khona ukushaya amanzi noma kuthini na. About the Twala family, khona ukushaya amanzi, but okay, let's move. Now there is the phone call that changed everything. There's a phone call that happened that changed everything. Now watch this carefully, because this is where things get uncomfortable. Right after the shooting, a call is made to Chico Twala, who is Longwe's Twala, who was not present when the shooting happened. But a phone call happens to go to him. They don't call the cops. They don't call the hospital. They don't call 111, 112, whatever. They don't call 10-111, 112, 111, whatever. They don't call any help. They don't call emergency services. They call Chico Twala. They call who? Chico Twala gets the call. Not anybody else but Chico Twala. Why Chico Twala? when his son is also there. I don't hear of any call that went to Thokoza Sitwala's family. I don't hear of any call that went to Madlala, Tumelo Madlala's family. But we do hear of a call that went straight to Senzo Meyiwa's family. Two people. There is a call that went to Senzo's family. There is a call that went to Chiko Twala. We are not stupid, Mostinane. We are not. 1 and 1 is equal to 2. We don't say 1 and 1 is equal to 11. Okay? We are not stupid. Now, there is a phone call that goes to Chiko Twala, not later, not the next day, immediately after it happened, his situation. And suddenly, he becomes part of the story like that. Just like that, he becomes part of the story. Not as a suspect, though, no, but as someone who arrived into the situation very quickly with that phone call. Yes, that phone call. Yes, that's the one that puts him into the entire situation. And here is where public suspicion exploded, Kesani. His son is inside the house. His name appears in the aftermath. And then the biggest question is, was he protecting his son? Now listen carefully. There is no charge against Utatu Twala name, but the optics, very powerful. Very, very powerful. Even the defense at one point wanted him brought into court, not random, not relevant, strategic, because you got the first call. We need to understand why. Okay? Now, let's deal with the shadow figure. There is a shadow figure in this. Let's go deeper, Papa. Let's go deeper and bring the shadow figure in this situation. Because his name doesn't come from the scene. It comes from the shadows. Shadrach Sibiya. Shadrach Sibiya, yes. A senior police figure, a senior police official. And his name enters the story through allegations. Claims that he intervened. Claims that he protected certain people. Claims that something was handled. But here's the truth. He denied it all. He denies it to this day. I remember he was in front of the adult. He was like, no, me, when I got there, the crime scene was a mess. There was pine gel smelling everywhere. They cleaned there. Had nothing to do with me. There was pine gel smelling there. So no charges, no conviction, just a cloud of allegations against him, Shem, that refused to disappear. And in a case already filled with contradictions, that matters a lot. Now we have the real battle. So what are we actually looking at? Not just names, competing realities. On one side, the state say the killers are in the dock, the plane came from outside, the case is clear. On the other side, a different picture emerges. The truth may be inside the house, key people were never charged, and some questions were never answered. And that's the real tension in this trial. That is what keeps people asking questions. Because here is the uncomfortable truth. This case has never just been about one person. It's about who knew what, who was where, and who was protected. And the deeper you go, the more the lines blur, Gesan, between witness, suspect, and influence. And that's why, even after all these years, this case still feels unfinished. And it looks like it will remain unfinished until someone tells the truth. So what are your thoughts when it comes to this? Because we as South African are saying, if you are saying Kelly Khumalo is the mastermind, arrest her. Why are you not arresting her? You're saying she's the mastermind. Arrest her. She must go have her day in court. Why is she not being arrested? Why is she not being arrested? Anyway, what are your thoughts when it comes to this? When we link these four names, sorry, Kelly Khumalo, Longwe Twala, Chiko Twala, who's this? General Sibiya. What comes to mind when you are sitting there? I'll see you on our next video. Bye-bye.